So thank you all for joining me at the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Library for our Masterclass with Josh Rogosin. You guys excited? Yeah, it's a good time. So my name is TJ Woods. I have the pleasure of serving as the Associate Director of TechConnect. We have 2 wonderful computer labs downstairs on the 6th floor. We hope you will come back and take some classes with us. We also have an amazing studio, Studio 40, run by Jenna Lee and Jose Toro. If you know, you know. This event is brought to you by Studio 40. It is open to all adult New Yorkers. It's located on the 6th floor here, so we want you to come and help us contribute to our community space. Artists can make music, videos, podcasts, and all that good stuff. Like everything else at the New York Public Library, it is 100% free. Yeah. Before we get started, I have to thank some people who helped make this event possible. My wonderful team, TechConnect, y'all are the best. You know, I think you truly are the best in the entire library. I'm so grateful to work with you. You make magic happen every day. I do. I'd also like to thank Jenna Lee, who's our program manager, who put this event together. She has all the connects, all the skills, all the personality and charisma. And I'd like to thank our studio techs. They were here from the crack of dawn, like 7 a.m., 6 a.m., getting things started. There are volunteers who are recording, taking pictures, running the audio. We couldn't do this without them, for sure. If you love events like this, please consider signing our online campaign for Invest in Public Libraries. That's on our homepage, NYPL.org. It's just a couple of steps. You sign it and you'll let leaders in New York know that you want to keep events like this happening and keep them free. So please don't forget to do that. We hope you'll continue to come to our classes, join us at events like this in the future, and utilize the studio. I'm done with all my opening remarks, so I'd like to turn it over to the incomparable Jenna Lee.
Thank you so much. Thank you, TJ. I'm so excited to have this masterclass with you all tonight. This is our second masterclass. Our first masterclass was with Jacob Collier, and the second masterclass. Masterclasses are a deep dive into topics in the recording industry. It's a peek behind the scenes from experts in the field, and I'm really, really excited to share with you Josh Rogosin, who has been one of my personal friends and mentors throughout the way, building up Studio 40. Josh is the former audio engineer of the Tiny Desk concert series. His audio brilliance and footprint is all over the technical side of the Tiny Desk audio series, and he makes the magic happen with his innovative audio engineering technical skills. He is now running global sound concerts and traveling the world and filming and recording musicians in iconic locations that really tell their story behind the scenes. He's a site recording mastermind. He's edited over 800 Tiny Desk concerts, mixed them all together, put them up, and we're going to deconstruct that process for you today. We were up, as TJ mentioned, at the crack of dawn across the street in the iconic Astor Hall, the main hall of the library with 100 years of reverb in that crazy space, and leave it to Josh Rogosin to dream up of the most ridiculous recording gig. And they said, okay, fine, we can record in this space as long as you're out of here by 10 a.m. when it opens to the public. So we snuck in a 6-piece string orchestra, Little Kruta, into that space. We recorded them live this morning, and Josh did a little pre-production, and he's going to show you where the mix is at. He's going to show you the guts of that recording as it's coming to life. So we've been on a crazy adventure all day with this recording session, and you're going to see a little bit behind the scenes of his Pro Tools mixing process, as well as we're going to have a special guest artist, Kari Davis, one of our very own Studio 40 artists, sharing some live music as well. And you can see Josh in his recording process for a live musician and what kind of mics he uses, what kind of setup he uses for site recording. All the behind the scenes magic that you wanted to know. Josh has also been, like I said, a dear, dear friend and mentor. I don't know if all of you know this, but when I was a very baby audio engineer getting into the field, I worked at the NPR Tiny Desk, and I met Josh and just followed him around and plugged in all his XLR cables and coiled them and tried to put them away. And he showed me a lot of stuff. We've spent 16 hours in a car together listening to mixes and planning how to run festival sound from 3 different stages across the Newport Folk Festival and pipe them in to send out to TuneIn Radio and Martha's Vineyard Radio and capture them for NPR. And so this is where I learned how to do all sorts of technical things. And then when I got the gig at NYPL to build Studio 40, I was calling Josh up on the phone late at night, and I was like, okay, here's my spreadsheet, here's my patch bay diagram. Is it gonna work if I plug this in here and this in here? And he's like, girl, you've been busy. And he told me, he's like, oh yeah, like get these adapters, put this together, and it's gonna work. And he's been with it the whole way. So actually Studio 40 would absolutely not be possible, and any of the library programs would not be possible without my dear friend and mentor, Josh. And so I'm so excited for you to learn from one of my primary teachers who really started me in this audio journey. He has just tons and tons of wisdom and strategies and artistic advice for you all tonight. So thank you so much for coming. Please give a big welcome to Josh Rogosin. Woo!
Thank you, Jenna Lee, and thank you, TJ. It is such an unbelievable privilege to be here with you guys tonight to tell you about my process as an audio journalist and how that informed how I created the sound design for Tiny Desk and now the Global Sound Concert Series. I'm going to stop the loop that I was playing over and over again as y'all came in. It was Dodie at the Tiny Desk. I was so enamored with this recording, I reached out to Dodie, she's from London, and said, you really should release this on streaming services. So I'm really thrilled that some of my recordings like Coldplay and Dodie, and there's been some vinyl releases, Anderson Paak, Mac Miller, very recently Action Bronson, they've all decided to publish these special recordings, and I'm gonna give you some insight about how that all came about. But before I do, I wanted to check our sound system. This is a really nerdy thing I love to do.
This is my voice on the left. This is my voice.
I love to, when I give a presentation, test our friends at front of house. Thank you, Jackson, for making sound happen in the room. Let's hear it for Jackson, folks.
On the right-hand side.
And the whole crew at New York Public Radio
in the center.
and TechConnect
This is my voice
to make this happen.
Both left and right.
Okay, both left and right. Excellent.
In the center. My voice
This is one of my favorite productions.
On 3. 1, 2.
Out of phase, okay? It is.
This is my voice on the left.
It is. All right.
My voice on the left.
We're ready to go, folks.
This is my voice on the left.
All right, let's get into it, shall we? It all starts with my parents. I think where we come from is so important, how we're brought up, right? My mom, I come from a place of artistic people in my family. I grew up around music. This all didn't happen in a void by accident. My dad conducted for Johnny Mathis and conducted orchestras all over the world, and there was always music playing in my house. Growing up as a kid, he was writing musical theater. He wrote the Wally World Anthem for National Lampoon's Vacation that they sing in the car on the way to Wally World. Little unknown fact. And my mom was an original Mouseketeer in the 1950s with Annette Funicello. So I really love to remember where we come from. It means the world to me. I grew up actually performing musical theater, and my parents started a theater company. We lived in Los Angeles. I grew up there till I was 12. We moved to New Hampshire. They started the Seacoast Repertory Theater, still in existence in Portsmouth, and I would perform in rock and roll musicals. I was Tommy and Tommy. I played Riff Raff in the Rocky Horror Show for 3 years. I was Claude in Hair. And this was all training for me to learn about harmony and instrumentation. And it's really where I honed my ear. So all I could say to the folks out there who are interested in music production, listen to as much as possible and train your ear to hear the balance of what's right to you. And all of this stuff that I'm going to mention tonight is subjective. And I think that's part of the beauty of being an audio engineer, is that you can make it up. I caught the bug for all things audio production when I was writing my own songs at summer camp. I had, my parents were kind enough for my birthday, I think I might have been 15 years old, they got me a cassette-based multi-track recorder. And this is where I really learned about, oh my gosh, you can overdub yourself. If you think about all those Beatles recordings, they did it all with 4 tracks and bouncing and bouncing and bouncing to just add layers and layers and layers, which is basically exactly what this Tascam 424 Porta Studio can do. After that, I went to school at Ithaca College, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, do I want to be a musical theater performer? They have a great theater school. Do I want to get into broadcast communication? They have a great communication school. I majored at the Roy H. Park School of Communications at Ithaca College in television and radio. And when I graduated, I kind of was at this crossroads. Do I want to go back to my parents' theater and perform in rock and roll musicals? Yes. The answer was yes. Did I do that? No. I'm like, I need to pay off my student loans. I love audio production. I think there's so many things in this world to get excited about. So I chose a different path. I knew a lot of people who do theater in this beautiful town right down the street, and it just wasn't for me personally. I fell in love with the behind-the-scenes stuff, and I felt like I could use my skills as a performer, and it can translate beautifully to capturing audio. So I learned my first job after doing sound production for theater, learning sound reinforcement, wireless mic placement at North Shore Music Theater. I was an intern there, got paid $200 a week, had to drive an hour each way from Portsmouth, New Hampshire to Beverly, Massachusetts. And after I did the internship, there were some job opportunities. I got a job in Washington, D.C., and I decided, walking by NPR every day, on my way to the Shakespeare Theater in Washington, D.C., looking up the big NPR building on my way to work and scratching my head saying, I used to listen to NPR on my drive to work, or on my walk to work. And it sort of like opened my eye, and that's just a lesson that I want to impart to y'all, that, open your eyes where you are. I was in Washington, D.C. I was running a soundboard at the Shakespeare Theater. It was really great, especially during the pre-production and the tech rehearsals. And then when it came to running the show, for 2-3 months straight, 8 times a week, the same thing. I'm like, this repetition, it's not for me. I stumbled into NPR. I said, can I get a tour? And they said, no, we don't have tours today. I said, what about job listings? And at the time, there was a pamphlet in the corner of the lobby and something called Broadcast Recording Technician. So I started freelancing at NPR, taking in fees from reporters all over the world. And basically, everything was analog. I had just graduated from college, studying how to use Pro Tools. And I show up in the studio. This is actually at the New York Bureau, where there's analog patch bays. Everything was recorded on 1/4-inch reel-to-reel tape at 15 inches per second. I remember in college, they gave us one lesson how to cut audio tape, and then that was it. They're like, you're never gonna need this. But NPR was very slow to transition to digital. So I feel very grateful that I'm like, why aren't you guys using Pro Tools? What's going on? I'm really grateful that they weren't doing that yet, because I got to use all this outboard gear up there to fix all of the tape from, let's say, Jennifer Ludden, who is a reporter based in Jerusalem. I would take in feeds from her over ISDN, basically uses 2 phone lines, turns it into data, 128 megabytes per second, L2 mono, but it sounded really nice. It translated beautifully on the radio, and that's this machine right here was an ISDN unit, and then I would send her audio signal through a processing chain, which included a peak notch filter, so if there's a hum or a weird sound, you can isolate it and cut it. There was a paragraphic EQ, so if it was a little bit rumbly, if the recording was from outside, one of the people that she was interviewed, I can kind of dip out of that graphic EQ and carve out some of that muddiness, maybe bring up some excitement frequencies like nails on the chalkboard exist between like 3 and 5,000 hertz. So, figuring out how to use these tools with real knobs and buttons. And now, of course, everything's in the computer, which we love because, wow, it makes it very accessible to everybody. And then the last piece of gear on the bottom was a DBX 160 compressor. And that's basically to just like take care of the peaks, to smooth out the sound so it's like all one consistent volume, so that when you're in your car, you're not adjusting your volume dial because I'm using a compressor to keep everything tight. And basically those 3 pieces of outboard gear, I still believe to this day is all you need to make audio sound wonderful. Of course, we have hundreds, thousands of plugins available. It's an embarrassment of riches. But I still believe, like down to the core of it, what are the 3 pieces of gear that you need to make things sound good? I learned about field sound recording stories for the radio. So I learned about binaural, which is 2 omnidirectional microphones that I attach to my headphones using a hanger, and this is just something I made up. I have 2 no one told me to do this. I'm like, I want a binaural recorder to get the sound of our environment, and then I'll have actualities of people that the reporter speaks to kind of show up in the middle, but everything else will be binaural and give this like sense of envelopment. And then inside this is what we call a Zeppelin, which helps protect from wind when you're outside, was an MS stereo rig. In this case, it was an MKH 40, which is a directional cardioid mic, and an MKH 30, which is a bidirectional condenser mic. And you need to actually decode them in post-production. But what's really cool about MS stereo is that because there's a mono source, the stereo to mono compatibility is beautiful. Like you never have any weirdness. Sometimes when you sum the left and right from a binaural recording, you get some comb filtering and some cancellation, and it kind of sounds hollow when you sum it to mono. The beauty about MS stereo is in post-production, you can actually control the stereo width of that recording, and it still translates beautiful to mono. Why do we need mono? Well, do any of you have radios in your bathroom with 1 speaker? Even if it's like a Sonos speaker, a smart speaker, a lot of them are in mono. A lot of people's cell phones, sometimes it's just in mono, so you need to make sure that your content, especially if it's being broadcast, you never know where it's gonna end up. So you wanna make sure that there's no phasing issues. Another recording technique, ORTF, from our friends in France, 2 cardioid condenser microphones at a 120-degree angle. This is how I recorded every piano ever, our upright piano at the Tiny Desk. I'm using ORTF, and what was beautiful in the field is that I could quickly get a nice stereo image like this, or I could do what's called a split track recording, meaning give the host one of the mics and give the guest, I'll mic them, and it gives you the ability to get split tracks so that if I just want to have the mono mic, I can take that left side of my stereo pair and put it in the center of the channel, and then it's right up the middle. So it's a 2-track recording, and instead of using it for stereo, I'm using it to split track my host and or my reporter and the person that they're interviewing. Another rig that I love to set up, because we wanted to future-proof these radio expeditions. Does anybody here familiar with a series that used to air on Morning Edition? I think the last time they produced it was maybe 15 years ago. I was very fortunate, again, that I caught the tail end of this field sound gathering, NPR takes you there situation. So I wanted to create quad sound, which is really the predecessor to what this microphone is. This is an ambisonic mic, and there's 4 capsules pointed in 4 directions, and with a plugin in software, you can kind of control which side of the mic is being picked up. Is it picking up more of the stage? Is it picking up more of the audience? So the predecessor to this was me building with one of my mentors, Flan Williams, this crazy rig, which these are 4 omnidirectional microphones, and I would record to 2 separate microphone preamps into 2 separate DAT machines. That's right, I shot 40 hours of DAT tape in Cambodia and West Africa to tell these stories. So here's an example of me recording with this predecessor to ambisonic. It's for the rig was a monopod, and that was actually a piece of 2x4 with a receiver for the monopod and these little, like screens for your window. They're these little like plastic nubs. They fit perfectly with tent poles. These were literally tent poles that we put on the 2x4, and I've got some what we call dead cats for the wind, and I was recording with this crazy, the locals here in West Africa used to say, "Josh, are you gonna bring out the helicopter today?" I said, "Yeah." So the first 15 years of my career in audio had nothing to do with recording music unless I was in the field recording music to help tell a story on the radio. So I never was like, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to get a job immediately at a recording studio. Are there any students in the audience, students of audio? So what I can say to you is, always say yes to every opportunity. I didn't realize that working at NPR, running the board, I would meet my friend Bob Boylan, who was directing All Things Considered. He would pick the music between the radio stories, hand me CDs as the audio engineer. We would do jam sessions together, and that was 20 years before I started at Tiny Desk. And guess whose desk the Tiny Desk is? Bob Boylan. He started All Songs Considered as an answer to all of the mail he would get saying, "What is that piece of music you played between this story and this story? I have to know." So Bob, back in 2002, may have been 2001, he created a music show for your computer. What does that sound like? I mean, the iPhone didn't come out the iPod came out in 2003. I'm not sure when podcasts started, but Bob was such a forward-thinking individual. He knew, okay, this internet thing is going to change how people consume media. And he created a music show for your computer, which in my mind is he created the first podcast ever. All Songs Considered led to Tiny Desk. Here's an example of what these field sound recordings would sound like in the context of a radio story. The reporter is John Burnett. He's based in Austin, Texas. At the time, none of the audio engineers wanted to go to West Africa to do a story about voodoo rituals and festivals because there was going to be a National Geographic television crew and photographers. And they're like, we don't want all the clicks on our tape. It's going to be too hard. We're all going to be fighting for the same content. And I said, I'll go. And this is the result of that experience in 2004.
After the stone has been revealed, the elders carefully wrap the sacred drum, aklima, in white cloth and carry it into a canoe. With long poles, they conduct the dugout across the placid surface of Lake Togo back to Anejo. As it passes, some women bathing near shore recognize the song of the drum keepers and join in. For Radio Expeditions, I'm John Burnett, NPR News.
So how does a journalist record music? The answer for me is evident in Tiny Desk? What makes Tiny Desk different? I'll tell you. First of all, we don't allow musicians to use headphones or wedge monitors. This is like mind-blowing. For most musicians, they're like, are you kidding me? I remember David Crosby came in with Lighthouse Band, led by Snarky Puppy's Michael League. And they had rehearsed everything. David had an interview, and he arrived to the Tiny Desk late, and he shows up, and everyone's rehearsed. The audience is already in place, which is kind of my worst nightmare before I have a chance to work with the artist first to get a sound check. And the first thing he said was, how are we going to hear each other? This is impossible. I can't do it.
Oh, I'm sure someone's explained the origin story to you, or do you want me to say that part? Yeah, okay. So the Tiny Desk concert series came about out of necessity, really. Bob Boylan and Stephen Thompson were at South by Southwest at a club listening to a musician, as the story goes.
And the crowd just talking was louder than Laura.
I just realized that rather than going to shows where very quiet singer-songwriters are drowned out, we could just have them perform at our desks. So
we're going to videotape this for our blog, and maybe it's the start of something, and maybe it's not.
Tiny Desk started in 2008, 2 cameras, 1 microphone, and that was it. And now we've come to a place where artists are asking their record labels if they could come and perform. This will be our 500th Tiny Desk.
Okay, so why all the shotgun mics? My predecessor, Kevin Waite, Tiny Desk was an overnight success. It started in 2008, and no one really ever heard of it till 2014. And that's kind of how these things go. I just started Global Sound Concerts. It's going to take a very long time to get to where Tiny Desk is, and I'm fine with that. So my predecessor, Kevin Waite, came up with a brilliant idea. We use shotgun mics in journalism all the time. It's wonderful because it really focuses on the people that you're recording while rejecting the sound. It's called a hypercardioid microphone, meaning it's very directional. And the other beauty of it, it's designed for picking up human speech, and it's also designed to be like this. And what's beautiful when you have a mic down here is that you get to see this. And that's something, has anyone been to a rock concert lately? You don't really get to see the facial expressions of the artist. So what that means in post-production is I have to spend a lot of time riding the levels for a singer who might be, instead of working like this, working a mic like this. So it's a very different experience. So I inherited the shotgun mic, the stereo MS shotgun mic that has to be decoded. And the idea that Kevin came up with is I'm just going to send one stereo shotgun mic and direct the artists proactively. Okay, I need you to come closer to the mic. Drums, you need to get further away, but not only do you have to get further away, you need to play entirely different than you're used to playing. And that's the battle that we had. And thankfully, after many, many years and the success of the show, the artists were like, okay, we'll do it. But there are many artists who don't even know what it is, and they're like, you want me to do what? Absolutely not. So it is a true, and they say that creativity is spawned by limitation and restrictions, and Tiny Desk is the perfect example of that. We put on all of these restrictions and limitations on artists. There's been very famous bands and their managers call and they say, hey Josh, this band wants to do a Tiny Desk. Very famous. I'm not going to name names. And I say, well, no, they can't have backing tracks. No, we're not going to have any monitors. No, we don't use auto-tune. And then, thankfully, they say, you know what? This isn't for us. This isn't our band. And I have so much respect for them acknowledging that. Tiny Desk is optional, These types of recordings that I make are optional. You don't have to do it. Here's an example where the MS Stereo shotgun mic saved my bacon, and I want you guys to guess why. If you pay attention, this is Daniel Caesar's Tiny Desk, and during rehearsal, it was beautiful. Her is about to come on to give a guest spot with Daniel, and he really wanted this camaraderie of everybody standing really close together. And during rehearsal, they were equidistant, sharing this one stereo shotgun mic, sounded perfect, and then, of course, the real recording happens. Her walks in, and look at her placement in relation to that very directional MS Stereo shotgun mic.
Thank you. And finally, I'll introduce my friend over here. Time for her.
Hello. There I am, taking a look at where she is in relation. Oh no. I'm going back to my recorder, and I have to figure out, do I have her, or do I not have her? And do I have to stop the concert?
You don't know, babe, when you hold me and kiss me slowly.
Very directional shotgun mic. She's way over here.
And it don't change. If I had it my way, you would know that you are. You're the coffee that I need in the morning. You're my sunshine in the rain when it's pouring. Won't you give yourself to me? Give it all. I just wanna see. I just wanna see how beautiful you are. You know that I see it. I know you're a star. Where you go, I follow, no matter how far. If life is a movie, then you're the best part. Oh, you're the best part. Oh, best part.
It's the sunrise.
Can anyone guess how I saved this recording? It's an MS Stereo mic. That's the hint. Meaning, there's a mid capsule, but what does the S stand for? Notice where she is. She's kind of singing directly into the side capsules right here. So I was very grateful that the band was playing quietly during her introduction part. So I basically was able to create another instance of the side capsule and mix it in with the decoded MS Stereo. And that's how I was able to salvage the recording, and I didn't have to stop the vibe, right? The vibe is super important. Who wants to kill the vibe? Like, I've done it before. Anderson Paak came for his second Tiny Desk with the Free Nationals, maybe? Yeah. And he goes in, and during rehearsal, everything's great, the mic placement, and then during the real thing, he gets behind the drum kit, and his very directional shotgun mic is like here and not here. And he's playing the drums, so I kind of need that mic in a decent place. I let them finish the song, then I jumped up literally on top of the desk going, in the middle of the concert, and said, listen guys, I think I need to get that mic a little bit closer to Anderson. Do you think you could play that song one more time? What do you think, audience? Yeah, let's do it. And then he started the take with, yes, Lord, which he didn't do originally. So like over time, I've figured out, how do I inject myself into this situation that isn't like, excuse me, I'm sorry, but we have to stop. Like, go to the producer and be like, I really hate to do it, but I really think we need to do it. Or like, wait to the end. I'm just like, nope, I'm gonna take control of the situation, because a big thing that I've learned over time, like, what can I fix in post-production? And what do I just like, I gotta do it again. But how do I do it in a way that doesn't kill the vibe? So a huge part of audio engineering and music producing is interpersonal, right? It has nothing to do with, do you know how to mix in Pro Tools? It has everything to do with, did I get what I need? How do I inject yourself in the situation that isn't going to kill the situation. Here's just some mics I wanted to show you that I love to use. Soyuz, which also makes this ambisonic mic. I love this thumpy bomblet on kit. I'm also a huge fan, as you're about to see, on mics that can clip on instruments, because anything that I can do to limit the furniture in a recording to make the tech disappear, I'm on board with. So if that means using a clip-on mic that you would usually see like on stage, I use it for my recordings as well, because something that I also learned from Tiny Desk is that having a visual component to your audio is such an excellent thing in this extremely visual world that we inhabit. You know, if you think about all the content on TikTok and on Instagram and on YouTube, it's super important to, yes, create your album in the recording studio. There's amazing facilities right here in this building, so I've heard, that are available for free. So I highly recommend that you guys get involved with the TechConnect and be a part of this, because it's an embarrassment of riches. This is what front of house looks like at Tiny Desk, at least when I was there. This is a field recorder. Here's another thing that I'm a little bit weird about. Because I'm an audio journalist, I use these field recorders that are designed for ENG work, for like, excuse me, documentary work, film work, recorders that run on redundant power sources, recorders that record to 2 internal SSD cards, as well as, or SD cards, as well as an internal SSD card. This particular recorder from Sound Devices has Dante, so I can also record to a computer. So that's 4 sets of recordings that I can make simultaneously. I don't have to worry about, oh, my file got corrupt. Like, when you're a journalist, you've got one shot at the event happening, and if you levels were too high or whatever, that's it. Your recording's toast. So because of my paranoia as a journalist, I love using these field recorders. I don't record to the computer. I mix in the computer. But all of my tracking is done with field recorders that are not designed to record music. However, they're very expensive machines. They have unbelievably clean and beautiful mic preamps. I'm not using any fancy outboard, gorgeous tube, whatever. I'm perfectly happy with the quality that I can get from the onboard preamps of these field recorders. Here's an example of one artist. So how did I record Yo-Yo Ma at the Tiny Desk? What am I going to do as an audio engineer to create something that isn't what you've heard before? That was always my goal. So I'm literally on my knees, rotating around Yo-Yo Ma's $20 million cello? I'm not sure. Figuring out where it sounded sort of the grittiest, you know, where that gnarly, like, bow against the string. I wasn't really interested in making a beautiful recording with tons of reverb that you heard 100 times from Carnegie Hall or any of these beautiful places. I'm interested in featuring artists in a way that the audience has never experienced them before. And I think that's what makes the types of recordings that I make unique. Maybe you haven't heard him like that before. I hadn't. Thank you so much. Thank you. And this is what the session looked like. MS stereo, that was mostly just used for his talking. Here's an instance of just the mid-capsule for when he's talking to the audience. And the main mic on the cello is one single mono MKH40 I have Neutron on it. I put on Ozone Imager, which kind of turns a mono mic into fake stereo. Like, this is unconventional. Like, who would make a mono mic recording of Yo-Yo Ma's cello and put a stereoizer on it? Anyone in this room? I did. So what I'm trying to say is there are no rules. The only thing that rules me are these.
You do you, I'll do me. Chilling at the bottom of the sea, and I say, I'm happy just being around. Oh, I'm happy just being around. Oh, I'm happy just being around. Oh, I'm happy just being around.
Listen for the water bucket. This was like my nemesis. Can you hear it? So how did I do it? I didn't have a mic near the water bucket. Well, I created another instance of the mic. I was very limited in channel count. So I was always trying to come up with ways to, how do I make 8 channels sound like 16, like Beatles style, right? How did they make 4 channels sound like that? Oh my God. Well, they had really innovative ideas. So I would create another instance of the microphone that was closest to the water bucket and EQ the snot out of it to take out all the low end and all the high end, like boost those little frequencies that I move around till I hear that water swishing around, and there it was. This is just a slide I like to show you about the detail, the attention to detail of Sesame Street and their props department. We're like, we want them to be interns. We're going to make them intern badges. They're like, no. The size of their badge has to be in proportion to their personhood. I just love that. Lizzo made this funny meme. That was great. And learn from your mentors and your mentees. Here's me and Jenna Lee at the Newport Folk Festival. Jenna taught me as much as I taught her. I promise you. Teaching is the way you learn. And now Global Sound Concerts. I loved during the pandemic. I didn't love the pandemic, but I love that during the pandemic, we had this home concert series. How does Tiny Desk exist when no one can come to the office? Well, musicians, where they're from, all over the world, show us a window into their world. So I wanted to do that, record Tiny Desk style audio. I love this, what's called an Ear Trumpet Labs mic. The logo turns into the world. It kind of encapsulates the whole vibe of the series. And it sounds excellent. It can be low and out of the shot because its capsule can pivot. So that means I get to still see this and still have the mic in a place that makes sense. So I wanted to just play you a couple of vibes of what I've been doing. This is in Santiago, Chile. 12 channels. I'm having the 3 vocalists share one mic. I love the camaraderie of 3 vocalists gathered around one mic. Would it sound better if they each had their individual mic? Probably I could get the balance a little bit better, but I love the vibe of this. So it's 8 individual channels. I think just 2 channels on the drum, and then 4 channels for the ambisonic. So this was a 12-channel recording. I'm gonna skip ahead because time. This is in Brisbane, Australia, with the students of JMC Academy. Again, there's no PA, there's no monitors. It's just a group of musicians playing quietly enough to hear each other acoustically. this music store called Plan 9 in Richmond, Virginia. It's where the artist used to go and was inspired to record, to be a musician. So how special was it to go back to that music store and record her own music? Miss Jalen Brown, she's amazing. So what I've found is that everywhere I go, there's music. There's really creative, interesting people making it. It's everywhere, folks. This was like a fun vibe. I love breaking rules. How are you going to record in a gondola? That's going to be terrible. Again, 12 channels of audio. It's like a 7-piece band. In a traditional recording studio, this would be 24 tracks. Does it have to be? I don't know. Listen for yourselves. Here's my plug. Pull out your phones, scan that QR code, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You won't regret it. Thank you. We did something super special. What I love about Jenna Lee is that when I dream big, she's like, yep, let's do it. So she's like, yeah, let's record a musician during the masterclass. I'm like, can we just also just go to the library and record something? I don't know. I've never had permission to do that before, but maybe. And she's a very persuasive, smart, awesome individual. So we had an incredible time this morning putting together a 6-piece orchestral ensemble, string ensemble, with the original music of Little Kruta. And I didn't know if it was going to be successful. We didn't know who the artist was going to be until a week ago. What artist makes sense to record in a hall that's going to have a 4-second reverb tail? Did I know there would be a 4-second reverb tail? I was like, strings. I like strings in big reverberant spaces. That could be really cool. Jenna suggested, what about Little Kruta? I'm like, absolutely. That's the best ever idea. So they brought it, and I wanted to show you why we woke up at 6 this morning. So I basically just put together, I'll play you just the very beginning so you can get an idea of what we were up to. Video shot by Ricky. Shout out to Ricky. This is with a DJI Pocket 3, a $600 camera that is absolutely tiny. It has a built-in gimbal to make things smooth. 6 this morning. Is it worth it? I think it was worth it. Wow. So I wanted to share with you what the ambisonic mic sounds like by itself. Let's see if we can find it in the shot. Let's see. It's right there. It's kind of hard to see. So it was about 6-8 feet away from the musicians. And then I had individual clip-on mics, the DPA 4099. I actually have a video that I can show you of the breakdown that I wanted to make, because as part of the Global Sound Concerts project, I want to start educating too. I want to show people exactly what I'm doing to make that sound like that. And that's why I'm so thrilled y'all are here too. It's super exciting. So if I open up my raw video, I think here's my setup breakdown. It's going to be split track, meaning I had 2 wireless mics, one for Christine, Little Cruda, who's playing the cello there, and one where I'm describing
mic out of
stuff.
your mouth.
Pretty much.
I was like, what kind of mic do you have in there?
Are you ready? I'm just going to explain the recording setup.
It's 6 a.m.
Pardon the hairdo. And then we're going to do the take.
Yes.
So great.
Sandra Bullock to start.
Tell me when you're rolling. Hey, everybody, this is Josh Rogosin. We are here at the New York Public Library in beautiful Astor Hall with Little Cruda. Can you tell us about your ensemble and what we're about to hear?
Yes, so I'm Christine Cruda, the leader of Little Cruda. My ensemble today is a wonderful sextet of violin, viola, cello, and bass. And what you're about to hear right now is my original composition, Sandra Bullock.
Yes, okay, so I wanted to explain the recording setup for all you curious folks at home. Right here on double bass, we have from Ear Trumpet Labs in Portland, Oregon. This is the Nadine, beautiful cardioid condenser microphone, really cool setup, handmade in Portland, Oregon. And then we've got on Little Cruda's cello, we've got a Neumann MCM 114. These are lovely clip-on mics. Another Neumann on viola. We've got another Neumann on violin, and then 2 DPA 4099s on the first and second violins. And over here, to capture the beautiful cavernous sound of this stunning palace to knowledge and the arts, we have this ambisonic mic from Soyuz that picks up actually in 360 degrees. And you can actually focus in post-production how much this side of the mic picks up for our beautiful audience versus how much this side of the mic picks up for our beautiful musicians. And also, you can direct, like if you want your head to be pointed up, you can actually focus in post-production how this mic responds to the room. So that is the setup here. Everything's being run over back here as neatly as possible. Hey guys, to this beautiful field recording setup. We've got sound devices recording 7 discrete channels for all the individual instruments, plus a chat mic for Little Cruda, as well as a MixPre 6 by Sound Devices to record the ambisonic mic, which we will sync up in post-production. And I almost forgot, our chat mic over here is right here, and is the Ear Trumpet Labs Delphina, which is different than the Myrtle because it has a flat recording response versus a high pass, which is what the Myrtle has. And it even has this handy dandy pop filter that's magnetic that doesn't destroy the beautiful aesthetic of this steampunk amazing mic. So I can't wait to share with you guys this incredible recording from the New York Public Library on 5th Avenue in Manhattan at Bryant Park. Welcome to Global Sound Concerts and Ghostlight Concerts. Okay. Yeah, so I'm like, how do we make this more interesting for the viewer other than like, wow, this is beautiful music in a cool place? How can we add an aspect to it that's a little more nuanced? So I just wanted to quickly pull up. This is probably what it sounded like in the room. Just the ambisonic sounds like this. This is more of behind the mic, so I'm getting more reverb from like where the audience is standing. This is more directional, picking up more of the band. And I can also control turning my head left and right. And I can also control up and down if I want more of the ceiling or more of the floor. And this is, I'm not sure. I have to figure that out.
Thank you all so much for being here.
So here we have
Early spring morning
the
at
Ear
the
Trumpet
New York Public
Lab.
Library.
I isolated
I'm Christine Kruda.
the
This is
chatty
my ensemble,
bit.
Little Kruda.
And I use Clip
What
Game
started
to bring
kind
up
of
level.
as a fun hobby, passion project, hence my childhood nickname being the name of my now professional ensemble. I can honestly say this is now truly
And maybe there's
my
too
dream
much
come
low
true.
end, so I'll put in
I've been living in New York
an
for about
EQ
17 years, and
just to
this
kinda clean up
ensemble
that
kind of feels
bottom
like my
rumble.
whole reason for coming to New York all those years ago.
You hear the air
I've been able
conditioning
to
go
meet
away?
Such kind, incredible, loving people who are also at the top of their professions, and to be able to come.
Let's see what she looks like. Let's see, is that under window video? Yeah.
Thank you all so much for being here on this beautiful early spring morning at the New York Public Library. I'm Christine Kruda. This is my ensemble, Little Kruda. What started kind of as a fun hobby, passion project, hence my childhood nickname being the name of my now professional ensemble. I can honestly say this is now truly my dream come true. I've been living in New York for about 17 years, and this ensemble kind of feels like my whole reason for coming to New York all those years ago. I've been able to meet such kind, incredible, loving people who are also at the top of their professions, and to be able to come together as more of a democratic party than I think many traditional chamber groups. It's so wonderful to walk into work every day, whether that's a session.
So let's just take a listen to these individual channels. So I'm really supplementing that ambisonic mic with the direct mics to make it sound more visceral. There's our first violin. There's the first violin with the second violin. And I'm panning things out just geographically what it looked like in the room, except for the bass I have up the middle. I might change my mind on that later. I don't know. I'm not using any EQ right now. I might carve out some stuff if it's too brittle sounding, maybe dip out or use some paragraphic compression to kind of dip out certain frequencies so that the harshness. Here's the viola added. Let's add the, oh no, here's the viola. Sorry, those are the three violins. This is with the viola. Here's the cello. And the bass. This sounds too mechanical, too direct. I want to hear what the room sounds like. So you add the ambisonic. Sorry, it's loud. And listen to the change. So it's pretty dramatic, and I can go in based on the sections of the songs, like, oh, I really want the cello to come out in this moment. They're playing the melody line, and because I have it all multi-tracked, I can make those decisions of when to swell things and leave the ambisonic where it is. The other beautiful thing is that I'm not going to have to use any artificial reverb or plugins that are emulating reverb, because guess what? I was actually there, and I love this series, which I'm calling Ghost Light, which is the light that they put out on stage after every performance. What does the Sydney Opera House sound like with no sound reinforcement, with just the ambisonic mic in the room, with some musicians around it, and maybe close miking too, so I have some control in post-production. The other key component of all of this it's so important to me as a journalist that I'm capturing something in front of a live audience. I'm really less interested in recordings that are made into a void. When Christine said, where should I look? Should I look into the camera? I said, no, you're going to look at the audience that you're performing for. And that kind of was like, oh yeah, I'm just here making something happen live in real time, and maybe it'll go on the internet someday. So, are there any thoughts or questions or concerns before we bring up a very special guest to record something in real time with all you beautiful people? Why I do this is because you are here. You are a very key component to the success of this recording. The reason for that is that you provide feedback, a feedback loop, right? For the performer. Like, oh, I'm not just like, have to make this perfect because it's for a recording. I could do stuff, and you're going to react to her doing stuff. So, is Kari here? Kari Davis, everybody. I'm going to need help losing this table because it's not super cute. We're also going to kind of dim the lights and make it moody. I'm always thinking, yeah, audio is important, but I always have video on my mind. How are we going to make an intriguing performance? So, for example, at Astor Hall this morning, the idea is that I had the orchestra vamp. Vamp means they're just looping the beginning of the song because I wanted a 20-second intro that we got after the fact. Ricky was kind enough to go back, and I'm like, can you just start the video on Fifth Avenue, turn around, look at the lion, go into the hall, and discover the musicians? Won't that make for an interesting, oh my God, where are we? And then you hear it and you say, oh my God, who is that? So I love the idea of putting context around these recordings we're making. A New York-based ensemble, recording music in this space where music isn't recorded in. I don't know how often there's music in that space. Maybe if it's rented out for a wedding, there's like a band playing in the corner with people talking, but when has it really been used as a concert hall? I love the idea of using unconventional spaces as recording spaces to help just sort of like transport people. What does it sound like in that room? What does the reverb tail sound like? So we're going to set this up. I've got an 8-channel field recorder here, and the channels are 1, the ear trumpet lab condenser mic. Notice how it's low so that we can see all of this happening. I have a clip-on mic, the Neumann MCM 114. I'm also taking a DI, so that's 2. Then I've got the DI coming out of the guitar so that I can have that direct sound if I need it. If there's a loud vocal part that's bleeding into the guitar mic, I have the guitar by itself to add that articulation. Also, I've got the 4 channels of the ambisonic going to the last 4 channels of the recording. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is designed to pick up the sound of the room, and it's also designed to pick up your thunderous, boisterous, thrilling applause, which I actually need to get a level on. So here's a peek behind the curtain. If you guys could pretend like you heard a really lovely live performance and put your hands together for Kari. It sounds great. Thank you. So I just made sure that we weren't peaking on our recording because it would be kind of sad if we had this beautiful performance and then the applaud was completely distorted. So I needed y'all to indulge me, and I'm very grateful. So why don't here's another weird thing. So this is not gonna be great for the online video audience, and I apologize. So when, first of all, when I'm talking this loud, is there someone in the back row of the audience who can tell me whether or not they can hear my voice right now? speaking at a very normal level. Yes, un poquito. That's exactly right. But can you hear the words? So, right, so I kind of liken it to your eyes adjusting to the night sky. So we're so used to hearing something between the artist and our ears. And part of what makes the types of recordings that I'm making is it forces us to retrain our brains in a way and like, wow, I don't have to hear a Broadway show at 100 decibels because my tickets are $250. You know, there was a time, not really that long ago, when microphones and PAs didn't exist. How did people hear music? When you go to the Met Opera here in New York, guess what? They don't use any mics. So how about the folks in the back? Can they still hear what I'm saying, at least understanding my words? Are your ears starting to adjust, like your eyes would adjust to the night sky? Friends in the back, you can hear what I'm saying? Nice. So let's indulge me, and let's listen, if we could get maybe the first minute or the loudest part of your song so that I can set my levels, and then we're going to record it. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Never learned to play guitar, but always tried my best to convince the strings and things that no, it don't gotta be perfect. Could pack my life into a car and keep heading west, but you know I could spend my whole life chasing the sun, and it would never make me any less depressed. Let's go AWOL, let's dance our dreams away.
It's gonna be okay, I promise. Right? It's a little weird, but why not, right? For me, as the recording engineer, I'm thrilled. You wanna know why? The PA isn't bleeding into this mic and ruining my recording, frankly. The PA is not bleeding into this vocal mic and ruining the recording. This is part of the magic. So the experience of being at a Global Sound concert live, are you going to hear the balance correct? Is everything going to be perfect? Absolutely not. So let's record it. Do you need to tune your guitar? Always ask your musician, do you need to tune your guitar? Very important.
No.
Okay. Do you need some water?
I would love some water. A little water.
This is the interpersonal stuff I was talking about, right? It's not just like, okay, go.
And I'm gonna turn off my phone because I'm terrified it'll go off. So I'm just gonna let it take a nap.
Silence your cell phones, please. That's polite. Here, I have one right here. It's unopened.
Thank you. Thank you.
Another thing, I don't want anything ruining the shot. So after she's done having a sip of water, guess where that water bottle is going to go? In my hand and away. Also, that phone I'm not going to want in the shot. So I'm going to pick it up right now. These are all the tiny little details. And here we have our ghost light as part of the series to kind of turn it into a series. I love the idea of recording music around a ghost light. This is going to be a ghost light concert here at the New York Public Library with all y'all people in attendance. Thank you. Ricky, show the crowd this camera. This is what we use to shoot the Astor Hall String Ensemble. It's tiny, but it has a built-in gimbal. Do I want Sony or Red to give me a Super Pro camera with a gimbal? Of course, but I'm not there yet. I'm piloting this. This is just like a brainchild. I don't even know if this is going to work or if anybody's going to care. But that's what I want to encourage y'all. Just make stuff. Who cares? How are you feeling?
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you feeling, Ricky?
Splendid.
All right. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to tell Ricky when I'm recording. He's going to give you a thumbs up to start, and you're going to do it. And then you guys know what to do. You know what your part is, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm recording.
Oh, I've been working hard to open myself, to admit I need help. No, we can't do it all by ourselves. If life's a game of cards, then my hand has been dealt. And I guess I'm just left wondering, asking me why are you not satisfied with yourself? Oh no, let's go waltz and dance our dreams away, singing a lullaby to sleep the screams away, with the hope that we won't ever stop dreaming just because we're awake. Let's go waltz and dance our dreams away, singing a lullaby to sleep the screams away. And I hope that we won't ever stop dreaming. Never learned to play guitar, but always tried my best to convince the strings and things that no, it don't gotta be perfect. Could pack my life into a car and keep heading west, but you know I could spend my whole life chasing the sun, and it would never make me any less depressed. Let's go waltz and dance our dreams away, singing a lullaby to sleep the screams away, with the hope that we won't ever stop dreaming just because we're awake. Let's go waltz and dance our dreams away, singing a lullaby to sleep the screams away. And I hope beyond hope that we won't ever stop dreaming. I won't ever stop.
Kari Davis, everybody. Thank you. So, yeah, was the balance right? Probably not. Did the folks not hear the guitar super great? I'm guessing no. But could you hear the lyrics the whole time? Probably. Yeah. So I'm going to ask Jackson, I'm going to hit play, and then I want you to put up my recorder into the house. This is completely unmixed. Everything's in mono. But this is what you just heard and how it sounds recorded without any post-production whatsoever. And I just wanted to demonstrate, it's just important that you make a good recording. Fixing it in post is not what you want. So let's see how I did. Okay, Jackson, I hit play. And then you guys know what to do. You know what your part is, right? Okay. Deja vu. Okay, I'm recording.
life's a game of cards that my hand has been dealt. And I guess I'm just left wondering, asking me why are you not satisfied with yourself? Oh no, let's go AWOLs and dance our dreams away, singing a lullaby to sleep the screams away, with the hope that we won't ever stop dreaming just because we're awake. Let's go AWOLs and dance our dreams away, singing a lullaby to sleep the screams away. And I hope that we won't ever stop dreaming. Never learned to play guitar, but always tried my best to convince the strings and things that no, it don't gotta be perfect. Could pack my life into a car and keep heading west, but you know I could spend my whole life chasing the sun, and it would never make me any less depressed. Let's go AWOLs and dance our dreams away, singing a lullaby to sleep the screams away, with the hope that we won't ever stop dreaming just because we're awake. Let's go AWOLs and dance our dreams away, singing a lullaby to sleep the screams away. And I hope beyond hope that we won't ever stop dreaming. I won't ever stop.
Can you mute the recorder? Thank you. Did we get what we need? Is it mixed? No. Will it be good? Yes. Perfect. I like that, sir. You deserve it. Thank you, guys. I want to open it up to Q&A. I've got a bunch of examples I can show you from different Tiny Desk stuff. Ask me anything. I'm so thrilled you're here. I can't stay late, so this is our chance to chat. And then starting at 8, we got to clear the room. But you can follow me at Josh Rogosin, DM me on Instagram, ask your questions. I look at them. I'm happy to share any and everything. I have no secrets. Mics, people with mics. Go to people with, no, so the friends at home can hear it. It's just for the friends at home, folks.
Your approach seems to be to make the recordings kind of personal and natural. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't strive for perfection. I strive for humanity. That's right. Whoever's got their hands up, the mic folks can go, and that's perfect. Go ahead, sir.
Thanks so much for your mastery. My question is, how do you maintain your ear health?
Ooh, I travel with earplugs. I use in-ear monitors to mix. At concerts, I always have earplugs in. Like, if I lose that, then I lose my, I'm not Beethoven, let's be honest. Great question. Protect your hearing, folks. There's some great options. I like Loop. They don't sponsor me. I just like them. They're great. Go buy them. Wear them. Everything's too loud. Everything is too loud. Probably my mic right now, it's probably too loud. Go ahead. Oh, mics. Great. Wherever the mics are. Perfect.
What's your trick to know when something is finished?
I guess when it ends, because I'm a journalist, my approach is always like, embrace the thing with warts and all. If the artist's like, I messed up my lyric, I have a out of tune thing, I'm more than happy to like do another take, but I want the take to be all in one thing. I don't believe in punching in. I don't use things like auto-tune. I kind of embrace the imperfection because I think it humanizes it, and it's good for the medium of, why do all these videos go viral on TikTok, for an example? It's because it's authentic. It's because it's imperfect. It's because it's someone sitting with a crappy phone recording, singing into a mic. So I do the same thing, but with expensive mics.
Hi, this is a technical question. If you were going to record an auto harp, would you be able to use one of those small close mics like you were using on the violin, or do you need like a wider mic to capture all the strings?
I don't know. I'd have to hear it, You could probably get away with just doing a clip-on mic because the ambisonic or my room mics is going to be filling in the gaps. Like part of what made that recording with the Samponi instruments, the traditional instruments from the Andes in Chile that I recorded, I had one spot mic on each drummer and they had full drum sets. So I supplemented what that one mic was picking up with my room mic, and the rest of the drums that you heard came in through this. So I'm really approaching the recording a bit differently by creating a stereo or an ambisonic recording and supplementing that with direct lines. Wherever the mic is, I'm so sorry.
Hey man, how are you?
Hey.
So yeah, I was just wondering, at a particular point at Tiny Desk, was there an artist or a group that sort of made you either rethink the process slightly or expand or diminish it in a way, just along that process, and just how you kind of had to sculpt it a little bit?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm going to look at my examples and see if I can pull something up. That made me think about, so like Snarky Puppy shows up, and they've got a lot of instruments, and I have 16 channels at the time, so I had one mic for the drums, and here's how it turned out. This is thinking on the spot. How do I do less with more? The trumpet players are sharing one ribbon mic. So I create multiple instances of that same one mic, and maybe I EQ it differently. I EQ it so I can really hear the ch-ch of that cymbal, that stacked cymbal that he's crashing on, or I try to get the tone of the bongo so that you can actually hear the bing, bing, bing of the bongo by creating another instance. It's like I'm multi-tracking just by EQing the same mic differently.
Josh, I do have I'm over here. Over here. I have a question. I'm a musician myself. I play piano in mostly progressive rock classic. What microphones? I want to do some recording soon. I just came off of 17 months of recovering from Guillain-Barré, and it almost killed me. So
oh my God.
I'm going to do music. I'm 58. I'm going to start.
You got to do it. There's no time but the present.
When most people end, I'm going to be starting it.
Good for you.
I need to know, in your experience, what microphones would you recommend for grand piano that most resembles Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road? Or anything of that 70s natural, beautiful, Joni Mitchell, blue, whatever.
It doesn't matter.
What mics do you personally?
It doesn't matter. Anything. Anything.
I'm not a mic person.
An SM57 that's like very ubiquitous, $99 mic. Absolutely. You know what's important? Mic placement. You know what's important? Getting behind the piano and figuring out where it sounds good. You know what's important? Figuring out how to add effects and EQ to make it sound like you want to. I love toys. I love mics. But it doesn't matter. I love what would I use if I had any choice today? I used to use MKH40s on piano all the time. Then I switched to the Soyuz 013, not because the MKH-40s were bad, but they were super old and banged up and they started having intermittent issues. So I replaced them with the Soyuz 013, which is actually the same capsules that's in this ambisonic mic, except they're just one, cardioid mic. So the answer is you can get away with using really cheap mics if you know how to use them. Yeah, and that's a very ubiquitous, you could stick it on anything. I always used to say, I can record and make sound just as good anytime as whatever with 1657s. And I think that's true. I haven't tried it. But sure, if you're listening, I'm available to be sponsored. Only half kidding. Who's next?
I have a question. This is kind of a technical question, but I was wondering, when you're editing and mixing, do you prefer to just directly mix the tracks or use buses? Which
Great
I'm
question.
really confused about.
So I'm worried about, like, if I'm using the same type of EQ. Let's say, for example, for the string section, we're having all direct mic. Let's say I wanted the same reverb on all of the strings. Rather than put a separate instance of reverb and set it the same for each individual strings, that'll eat up a lot of horsepower for my Pro Tools session, especially if I have the video imported. So in order to get the computer to not give me the rainbow ball of death, I will use busing. So I might bus all of the strings to bus 1 and 2. They'll be panned out accordingly, and I'll create an aux input. And then on that aux input, I can put one instance of the reverb that I want for all the strings. So if I know I want the same reverb on all the strings, rather than creating 6 instances of the reverb for 6 individual strings, I can bus them all together and put one reverb, which is going to take up much less processing power on my computer.
Hi. So I'm an artist, and I don't know so much on the engineering side, and so I've started to look for people who can mix the album, but I'm not really sure what questions I should be asking or where I should be looking for them. And of course, I can listen to their body of work, but I'm not really sure what to look out for.
That's a good question. I don't know. You just have to find people that you've worked with and you like what they do, and it takes a lot of research. I freelance? No. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I like any advice that I give to, like, oh, I want to get a job, and I'm like, I don't know what to do, and how do I pound the pavement? I always say, find the person with the job that you want and ask to, like, hang out with them or DM them, and then that could be a really nice way. Many people, including myself, especially in this phase of my journey, I'm all about paying it forward now. I had an amazing run at Tiny Desk, and it was an embarrassment of riches. But now I don't get the same excitement that, oh, wow, I get to record Alicia Keys. Yes, that's amazing. Oh, my God. But it's not important to me. What's important to me is doing what we're doing right now.
Hi, I just want to thank you for doing this, first of all, but also it's interesting that Tiny Desk is all in like one place, but now that you're going on this new venture, you're having to capture what's unique about the different places that are being recorded. So I'm just wondering what's different about your approach as you're trying to capture that unique sound.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be successful. I knew the space of Tiny Desk so well. It's so dead. It's so wonderful. I know how to get rid of the air conditioning when I have to crank up the mics, like all of those details. And now I like challenging myself. I gave myself the hardest homework assignment ever. I'm going to travel the world, find musicians, record them in their environment to learn about their culture, and I'm just going to... How am I going to do it? I have no idea. I'm going to wake up the next morning and just try something.
Hey, Josh, I have a question.
Thank you. Yes, hello.
So I took on the project of doing live sound for an event coming up, and we're gathering artists around, and I just wanted to know, in terms of live vocal processing, where is it I should be drawing the line?
Drawing the line between what and what?
How much vocal effects do you think I should be trying to run in real time
I think it just has to do with the artist and the type of music you're recording. There's certain artists, like when I recorded Nile Rodgers and Chic, and they do Get Lucky, and there's a vocoder sound. Like the only note I got from Nile Rodgers was like, bring up the vocoder. So I let the vocoder be a vocoder, and it's like a ton of effect, and that's because of what it is. So just try to embrace the music and pay honor to it. I don't do that always. I often request artists to do an acoustic version. I remember when Wolf Alice from England came to Tiny Desk. They're like a heavy metal rock band. I didn't know what to expect. They show up and they completely transform their catalog into all acoustic. And I love it because it gives their fans and their followers an opportunity to experience their music in a completely reimagined way. And that's what I'm about. And I think maybe for you, you need to respect the artist more than maybe I do.
Josh, thank you so much. Have you always and do you always choose Pro Tools for post, or are there situations where there's another tool that's a better choice?
I'm a creature of habit, and also I'm super lazy, and also I need to take classes at TechConnect. I am not joking. I need to learn Ableton Live. Have I used it? Once, twice. I need to learn Logic. Have I used it? Once, twice. Do I know it? Absolutely not. I know Pro Tools. I know how to. I don't really care about the gear. I don't care about the mics. I don't care about the tools. They're all an ends to a mean to an ends. In other words, all you have to do is manipulate the tool to make it sound good. That's all I'm doing. Like literally, there's no other mystery to it.
I was wondering where you're when you're starting to mix, what's your default starting point? Do you start with the ambisonics, bringing that up, and then mixing into that? Or do you have everything up and you just start adjusting it from the raw takes, just like you were doing earlier?
Yeah, I like having the ambisonic thing first and listening to that and listening for what's missing and then adding in the individual lines to supplement it. So it's a very like ass backwards way of recording music.
Are you a spiritual person?
I don't know what that means. Like, do I believe in God? I believe that music and performing and making art is God's expression through humans, whatever that means. But I don't know if I believe in God. So I believe in art. Art is my spirituality.
Hi. Sorry. Oh, go ahead. I saw you before. You go first.
You're welcome to join us at TechConnect, but to join Studio 40, you'll need to do an introduction first. It's the rules of the library.
An introduction to what?
There might not be any rules in audio recording, but there's rules at the library. You need to take the orientation.
I will do it. I want to take the orientation. I encourage anybody interested in this stuff, don't be scared. Just try it. What do you have to lose? It's free. What an unbelievable privilege.
Now, the question for the people at home, they will like this. Why Apple?
Apple, like, I don't know. It's just what I grew up on. I believed when Steve Jobs convinced the music industry to sell songs on the iTunes music store for 99 cents each, I was like, that's a good idea because I'm sick of downloading illegal Napster, LimeWire, and my audio files suck. So I'm like, here's someone who's embracing the future in a way that is trying to make it fair, but it's not fair. So that I don't know. That's one reason, and it's just what I grew up on.
Hey, thank you so much for this. Can you give some insights and tips on what you do for mastering your live recordings?
Yeah, great question. I just use Ozone on my master bus, and then I'll pull it into like Loudness by RX, by Isotope, in order to make sure it meets the spec that I invent in my head of what I want it to be. So my personal spec for like a YouTube video would be -15 LUFS with a -1 peak. Is that correct? I have no idea.
Hey, so this style of recording obviously is something I believe you probably honed. Do you remember the first recording that made you go, huh, let's do that different?
I guess when my mentor Kevin Waite took me out to do field recordings at Newport Folk Festival or whatever, where he was like, let's have a stereo mic and just supplement that stereo mic with individual lines. And that was a big light bulb moment for me of like, I'm just gonna do that.
When you're mixing, you're obviously listening to a song like 1,000 times. How do you maintain fresh ears? Think about it from someone else listening. How do you stay?
It's such a good question. I love that you asked this question. I make the recording. I mix it while it's fresh. I don't like taking notes. I'm super lazy. So I know, like, okay, geographically, where does everything need to exist in the stereo field or the Atmos field or whatever. And then I put it on my phone. And then I listen to it on AirPods on a bicycle ride. And then I listen to it while I'm taking a shower on a mono speaker. And then I listen to it in my kitchen. And then I listen to it on a Bluetooth speaker outside. And I just live with it for a couple of weeks. And I don't take notes, but mentally I'm like, ooh, I need to bring that up the next time I revisit this session. And then I revisit the session a bunch of times. And sometimes my notes make it in, and sometimes I don't. And sometimes I'm like, oh man, it already published. I wish I did that differently. That's okay.
Going from the studio to wild environments around the world that are uncontrolled, do you find useful noise reduction tools? You mentioned Isotope. Do you use RX or
Yes.
something else that you like?
Oh my God, I had a recording, one of the like contest winners. We recorded it on the rooftop of the Javits Center on the windiest day known to man. I had all my fur. I was like totally prepared. It's gonna be great. There was a point where one of the drum mics literally just went and I had to mute it before it hit the ground. So the answer is absolutely. And with any of these like audio restoration tools like RX and Wind, you kind of just have to find the balance between, yeah, it's not sounding like and it kind of sounds like this swirly thing is happening. And I just kind of make a judgment call and pray that no one on YouTube makes a comment that the sound sucked.
2 more questions, guys.
Do you already have a dream location in mind for like the most unusual or like to your preference location to record in?
Not really, but I love the idea of just showing up in places. I've been giving a lot of talks and workshops at universities like JMC Academy and allowing them to guide me. For musicians, I create contests with Instagram hashtags. The one I did in Chile went like crazy viral. I'm like, I wonder if I should do this or if it'll work. I had a contest, upload a 1-minute video with a hashtag Global Sound Chile with a chance to record with yours truly. And it got viewed 875,000 times, shared 6,000 times. We had over 1,000 entries. So certain places, and I happened to collaborate with different people that a lot of musicians followed, and it just caught fire. And that was amazing. I didn't sponsor the ad, I didn't do any of that. It just happened completely organically. And I love that it created a community of people who just wanted to share music with each other. I think that's beautiful.
Hi, I have a question kind of relating to what you were talking about in the beginning about kind of thinking about visuals and like spectacle, even when those are kind of like at odds with like what we want as like engineers and like sound capture. And I was just wondering if you had any like kind of like firsthand experience doing like video editing or film or anything of the sort, and if you would like recommend that for engineers to have like better perspective on what like videographers are thinking
I
about.
think absolutely I'm always thinking like a videographer because I think it's such an important component. If you have compelling video matched with excellent audio, it's like both of them improve the other. So do I edit in Premiere Pro? No. Should I? Absolutely. Do I use CapCut? Yes. Okay, thank you. Please reach out. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you to the staff and volunteers of the New York Public Library. Such an incredible institution. Support your public library. Tell everybody how amazing it is. And take advantage of all these incredible resources. It's really an embarrassment of riches.
Thank you, everyone.